So, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the May 2026 Firewise workshop. These workshops are hosted by the Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council. We're a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to mobilize residents to protect their homes, communities, and environments from catastrophic wildfire. We host these workshops every third Friday of the month at 1 p.m., so be sure to mark your calendars for future workshops. These workshops are also updated onto our YouTube, so please be sure to subscribe to those if you happen to miss one and would like to reference them in the future. I'm just going to do some quick introductions and then we'll go on to the agenda and the presentation. My name is Mayra de Leon. I'm the Communications and Outreach Specialist for Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council. And with me is our Operations Coordinator, Sarah Rodriguez. She is the extraordinaire that is behind the scenes and the frontline person that you get to interact with when you call our organization. And she is helping me today with guiding me through the chat at the end of the presentation. If you are new to the Firewise process, just a quick reminder, we do have a Firewise in 5 minutes video on our website as well as YouTube that goes over the entire program and a 5-minute overview video that Natasha and our community regional coordinator community partner, Gabriel Alberian, have collaborated to create this really resourceful video for you guys. And if you have any other questions on our website, there is a button for scheduling a chat with the coordinator, Natasha. Typically, she will try to answer any questions, and then she walks and guides the neighborhood leaders through the risk assessment and action plans through these chats. So please reach out to her if you have any questions. So for today's agenda, it's a pretty cut and dry, but basically the National Fire Protection Association has launched a new mapping tool that is supposed to help streamline the mapping process in the application. And this is essentially going to be a quick tutorial on how to use that mapping tool. I believe there was a recent tutorial and meeting that the NFPA had done a couple of days ago. And so if you were part of that meeting, a lot of questions were answered, but that might still be available as a resource. But I saw that meeting, and so I pulled from some of those to answer some of the questions that were frequently asked in that meeting to help hopefully answer some of the questions that might come up during the tutorial today as well. And then, like I said, question and answers after that as well. A couple of quick reminders. We're right in the middle of our chipper season throughout Ventura County. We've had Fillmore, Santa Paula, and Piru so far, but coming up, we do have a drop-off event happening for the Ventura Park neighborhood on May 16th. The drop-off location is going to be at the street that's right behind the Stagecoach Inn. From 8:30 to 4:30 on that day, anybody can just go and drop off their dead vegetation that they would like chipped. And then for the Wildwood neighborhood in Thousand Oaks, they're going to actually have a curbside event happening. And so if you go onto our website, it does show a quick little map of who's able to get service in that area and who can sign up. So we really encourage anybody in that neighborhood that lives in that neighborhood to sign up. And then we are coming up starting in June with the Ondolando and Clearpoint neighborhoods in Ventura as well. So if you live in the Ondolando and the Clearpoint neighborhood, they have brought those two neighborhoods together to have that curbside event happening on June 9th and 10th. When we have these Firewise meetings once a month, typically in June for the last couple of years, we've actually replaced the June online webinar with a live opportunity for everybody to meet in person. Please save the date. We are encouraging everybody to sign up and attend this Firewise Action Planning Lunch and Learn. It's going to be hosted at the Ventura County Fire Department headquarters at 2400 Conejo Spectrum Street in Newberry Park. It's from 12 to 2. We give you lunch. We have some really important discussions about our risk assessment and the action plan. And Natasha does a lot of work to provide you with really important speakers and really helpful resources for Firewise leaders to really take away something valuable from this lunch and learn. So please attend. And then just as a couple of reminders for other programs as well, we're still offering the no-cost private home wildfire assessments. Please sign up and encourage your residents to sign up on our website. Quick note with that, we're actually about to launch a new scheduler. So in the meantime, if you go onto the website right now, there might be a disclaimer kind of saying that if you're having trouble, please give us a call. And because it's actually good news, we're actually simplifying our process and we have a new booking scheduler that's going to be implemented in the next couple of days. And then the Santa Monica Mountains Fund also provides free native plants at their Malibu Forestry unit, as well as there has been some updates regarding the Ventura County Fire Department's Standard 505. And so please check that out on the Ventura County website. That's fire.venturacounty.gov/standards and guidelines, and it'll get directed to the page where you can download that document. We also have it available at our website, venturafiresafe.org, under all of the resources, under the resources page. I wanted to just make sure that this didn't go unnoticed because a couple of years ago, we had 2 Firewise communities in Ventura County. That was at the start of 2022. And when we started encouraging Firewise communities to get created in Ventura County, it really was an effort. We were kind of dragging ourselves, trying to call people, trying to encourage people, having workshops left and right. And I think it's such a huge accomplishment for Ventura County as a whole to have gotten recognition of its 50th Firewise neighborhood. And so I wanted to just take a quick moment to congratulate West Shore and Gabe Albarian, who's our community partner, regional Firewise coordinator, on getting West Shore, past the finish line on getting their application approved and getting that recognition. So very exciting. Just really proud of where Ventura County's headed because, just to overemphasize that Firewise USA is a program, and like many of you know, that you get out of it what you put into it. And so that kind of effort really is the work of the residents themselves. And so if you are a resident leader or just a resident wanting to get involved, first of all, just thank you because it's a big effort that really it's not going unnoticed from us, but it really is typically like unsung heroes that are working in the background to kind of make these Firewise communities happen. And so yeah, so let's go ahead and start on this mapping tool application. So this is just a mock application. The Firewise community name would happen where it says Natasha. She just kind of created a little mock community for me. And so this community has not gotten recognition yet. They're in the middle of starting their application. And so I'm just going to walk you through what this new mapping tool looks like. And so maybe I'll just go over this first. So what it does is that the NFPA used to have to redraw all of the maps for Firewise communities, and it became an unrealistic effort once it started gaining popularity because of how many times they had to submit this. So the NFPA does not share personal information, but they share the map boundaries with the insurance companies. So insurance companies have a tool to confirm whether or not you live in a Firewise community or not. And so this tool helps the NFPA report and send that report to the insurance companies and share that with the insurance companies to offer those discounts. The bonus is that it means that insurance companies should receive their updates sooner rather than later because before they were being sent this about twice a year from the NFPA. Now, by streamlining the way that this mapping tool is doing it, it's because it's making every single application, the person just hand draws that map, submits it, and it's now being collected in like in a big map, right? That all of the different on their end, they can see all of those different boundaries, and they just keep sending that over. And so these maps are being created like simultaneously when these applications are being turned in. That means that the NFPA can every single month send this data to the insurance companies so that when somebody, is talking to their insurance company, the insurance company can confirm that they live within a Firewise boundary within the 3 to 4 weeks that a Firewise community is created. And so the NFPA does not share the resident information or the Firewise details with the insurance companies other than those boundaries. The maps are not publicly available by the NFPA, and you no longer need to include a map in the risk assessment part of the application because they're going to go off of that same map that is created in the application process. What it doesn't do is that this is a first version of the tool that they're sending out, so they know that improvements can be made and will be made based off of the comments that they get from feedback. And so if you do have feedback about that, I believe the Firewise coordinators and the NFPA representatives are, taking that feedback on and passing that over to the guy that created this tool. His name is Aaron. The maps so far don't provide a total dwelling unit count. They're hoping to do this in the future. And there's no current parcel data, so you can't actually see the parcel lines on the map. And you can't actually like download the map directly once you've drawn it out from that tool. And I'll show you in the tutorial though that if you do want to capture that somehow, how you can at least like screenshot it or take a quick like I said, like a printable PDF version of the application that section of the application that you're applying for. That way the map shows up on something that you're able to save for yourself. So in this step 1 through 10 overview, you can kind of jump to the different sections of the application. And so we're going to go to where it says site boundary. So this is the third step in that 10-step application. And so it goes over some really quick and simple directions. It says you're going to create your Firewise USA site boundary. Your site boundary defines the geographic area your community is working to reduce its wildfire risk. An accurate boundary ensures that your site is properly represented in the Firewise USA program. So when you scroll down a little bit, it's going to show it's going to say when you're drawing your boundary, keep these practices in mind. So you're going to draw a single contiguous shape. If the shape gap exists between the clusters of homes, include it within the boundary or consider whether it should be a completely separate site. Avoid overlapping. So in this tool, if you scroll out, here are some zoom in, zoom out buttons. You can go to a full screen view. Here's the polygon mapping tool to start editing and a little eraser tool at the top right. And so I'm going to scroll through, but if you zoom in or out, you can see current boundaries already. So that way it gives you an idea of what not to hopefully overlap these, right? And so I'm actually you can't type in an address. So that's the only thing that I've seen so far that you might have to do is you might have to zoom out a little bit of Ventura County to kind of find your area. And the area that I'm going to focus on today, just for the purposes of this tutorial, is a neighborhood that we've been looking at the Ventura fire safe council to potentially like, ideally we would like a Firewise community in this area. I have not seen it happen yet. But this, if you're familiar with Santa Paula, there's this community called the Oaks in Santa Paula, and this is very close to where the Thomas Fire originally started. So this is very much a high vulnerability neighborhood that I would really like seeing an effort happen with Firewise. And so when you want to start drawing a neighborhood, actually, and I know that most of you are already in Firewise communities already, and you know your neighborhoods well, and you know what those boundaries might be. But let's say somebody were to come in and not really understand or want, especially because you can't see parcel lines, right? You just see structures. So if someone wanted to draw a boundary, but they're not exactly sure where to do it and what is considered part of that neighborhood or not, I actually might consider looking, and this is just my particular take, is potentially looking at like site boundaries on Nextdoor. Have you all used the Nextdoor app in the past, or you have accounts on Nextdoor? So there is a link that I might have Sarah pop in the chat, but basically, if you go to nextdoor.com/find dash neighborhood dash California, you can actually go down and find the city that you're looking for. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to S for Santa Paula. And I know it's a little bit of looking, but Santa Paula. Here we go. So I'm going to click on Santa Paula, and it gives you information on Santa Paula, and it shows, who else is talking, who else is selling, whatever they want to. But then there's this section called nearby neighborhoods, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the Oaks neighborhood in Santa Paula. So if I scroll in here, this is what Santa Paula in on Nextdoor has designated as the Oaks. And I would have thought that maybe this little parcel, couple properties up here would have been it, but it looks like it's also being called North Ojai Road in this section. So, okay, let's keep it maybe starting off. This looks like a pretty big chunk of homes and properties anyway. So I might try to replicate what this map shows just because it's a good starter point for me to understand where people realize where their designation of what their neighborhood is. So I might go back to my Firewise tool and essentially try to replicate that shape. Um, and so it's really up to Firewise leaders to set those boundaries, right? So it's this top triangle. You click on it, and there's a couple different options. It says finish, remove last point, or cancel. And so go ahead and you can click and then move your mouse down. You don't have to keep holding. You literally just have to move your mouse down, click again, and then it'll have a solid line. That dotted line will turn into a solid line. And let's go down. Let's say I can zoom out at the same time while I'm still editing, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want to include the properties that are along that say road section. And I'm going to click again for that solid line. And I'm going to follow Santa Paula Creek because I think those properties back up to the creek. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And you know what? I went to a little too far. So I'm going to click on remove that last point, and it's going to let me just come back and edit this way. And so I'm just going to create this shape here. So now that I have this solid shaded area, I can also click this edit boundary, this little arrow here. And do you see how it creates more dots along this shape? Now, every time you want to move any of these dots, you can. And so you can edit, you can move, you can adjust however you would like. And every time you click the smaller shape in the middle, it'll create a whole other section of points that you can then edit and continue editing. So, and I can clear that. The eraser tool, if you click on it, it'll go away with, it'll take away those dots. Click on it again. Oh, I thought it could clear it completely. Let me see if you finish and then clear. I know there is a way to clear the whole thing again if you need to restart it. Um, my Let me see if there's instructions at the top. Edit, remove the bound. Use this to delete the boundary, and you can start over and create a new one. Oh, I'm not on a mouse. I'm just on a trackpad. So sorry about that. So yeah, um, I'm gonna go back and try to use this tool to move this back. Can I? Hmm. That's really interesting. That might be a note to actually send to the NFPA actually about it. No worries. What I'm thinking too is that I could probably, since I haven't turned this in or save and close or continue at the bottom, I can actually probably just refresh my page and start all over. Yeah, looks like you can do that as well. So refresh your browser page and then you can also just restart if that's helping you out. So it's super simple. It's designed to be super simple. Let me go ahead and uh, look at the other instructions. It just says edit boundary and then remove boundary. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And so once you have your polygon, let's say this were it, just to just to say that we were finished with it. Yeah, click finish. Once it's solid like that, that's when you can save and close or continue your application. And so the FAQs from the NFPA, these are questions that came up during the meeting that I was watching, is that uh, somebody asked if you can't see the parcel lines, and what if I draw a parcel through, what if I draw a map that goes through a parcel because their building is within the map, but the property, like maybe their backyard is a lot larger than that? Is it better to sort of overdraw the map or underdraw the map? And they said just try and overshoot to be on the safe side, and hopefully you've covered the majority of that property. Um, the There was a question that kept coming up where they kept saying that the insurance companies kept asking, kept asking people to show their recognition, the certificate, proof that they were in those Firewise communities. The NFPA shares that with them every single month, and so somebody asked something about the like insurance, like sometimes there's a third party broker or something like that. And the answer to that is really simply is that if they continue to ask for this, to report that those insurance companies and the brokers with the California Department of Insurance, because specifically this would be because if they're asking for that, then they're delaying the potential for, complying with the state of California with their policies about complying with giving some type of a discount or not being able to, like, turn you away, that kind of thing. And if enough people complain about this, the California Department of Insurance, from what I've been told, has been really fast at responding to these inquiries. So please do that. The hotline, the note, I put the hotline number for the California Department of Insurance in this slide, and the I think the biggest takeaway about that meeting as well was that This mapping tool was created to be a simple way for folks to be able to just draw a map and not have to use anything really super complicated like a GIS platform or or a mapping tool that gets too techy. It should be just cut and dry, pretty straightforward. And so it really is meant to be for the lay resident. And so, some folks, I know in that meeting, there were a couple of folks that were saying that they used more advanced tools and mapping for their risk assessment and other platforms or like for other channels, like a community wildfire protection plan, for other documents. And that's fine and great. But this tool is specific just for the application process. The one thing I do want to maybe reiterate is for the renewal applications. So if you are a current Firewise community and you already had set your site boundary, and you go for renewal, these maps are your current site boundary has already been uploaded onto the NFPA site. So those site boundaries should already be on there. When you go up for renewal, uh, whenever that may be, when you come up onto that screen, instead, the screen, it will look like for you is this next slide, which is essentially it'll say fire site boundary review, and it'll ask you, has your site boundary or the number of dwelling units changed since the last year? And so here you're going to say no. If you take a look at that map and you say, you know what, that looks exactly like it did last year, totally fine. I'm gonna say no. And then on the right side, the picture on the right, you'll confirm and continue on forward. If the site boundary, if you decide that your community has actually expanded and you wanted to edit that map, you can click on yes, and at that point you can go ahead and make those changes on the mapping tool um, to the mapping tool to edit your boundaries. You can click on the little arrow, it'll create those little dots for you so you can update that boundary. And then once you're good to go, you click finish and scroll down to the bottom and continue your application. The other question that I wanted to help answer is it there's no tool, there's no button or anything to download this map. So if you wanted to download your site boundary, you could either take a screenshot of this specific window. There's ways to do it on your own laptop. For me, I have a Windows computer, and so I use it's it's called a snipping tool. You can print that out if you want. The other way, and no matter where you are, if you're on a Chrome browser, if you have a Windows computer, if you have a Mac, however it may be, you go to essentially your browser settings and you click on print. You should be able to save your map and this part of the application portion of it. And sometimes even, yeah, like the directions are on there. So in case you wanted to save those directions, they're going to be on there, and you can literally just click save as PDF and save it onto your computer, however is easiest for you. So, but other than that, that's pretty much the end of the tutorial that I had. We're going to go ahead and switch over to Q&A. And at this point, I just kind of want to open it up. I know this is kind of a quick meeting, I hope. I'm going to maybe just let anybody either hop on in. Actually, Sarah, is there anybody in the chat or any questions that maybe you're seeing in here?
No, no questions so far.
Okay, then I'll just go ahead and open it up for the group, and I'll stop my sharing there. Yes, Lorraine, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi there. I wanted to find out on the list of communities that are recognized now. I'm on the list, not me. My community is on the list. I've
Sure.
been on many a list, but not that one. Uh, but the map doesn't show our community.
So the map that you're looking at, is that the one on the Ventura Regional Fire Safe website?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So, so sorry about that. Essentially, the map that we have on our website is a map that we actually made in-house, meaning that our own staff member, Max Young, essentially created that map for us to be able to um, so just like the NFPA's mapping tool is internal, they actually don't have a public facing map. And so we essentially put it upon us to create that map for our communities in Ventura County. Um, but because they're not that map is not connected directly to the NFPA's. We're having to draw out those boundaries ourselves and do everything in-house. And that is honestly just on us. Thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. Yeah, essentially, I know a couple months ago actually, and so I want to say it's been about 2 months. I reached out to Max and see if we could put it on our like basically our radar to get those maps renewed because it's been quite a while since we had updated those, and it takes quite a while to get those. As you can imagine, with us when we created that map, I think there were 13 um,
Mhm.
Firewise communities. And when Ventura County exploded with the others, it was just so hard to keep up, to be honest. And so it has been on our sort of to-do list to update those map boundaries, to have a publicly available site to be able to look up on that website. So it has not gone unnoticed. So sorry about that. That is on our to-do list, and I will actually, as the communications person, like I will make an announcement as soon as we've gotten that updated, and I'll make sure that it gets posted on our newsletter as well as on our social media, and then an email out to the Firewise communities as well as soon as that does get updated. So, thank you, Lorraine. I will definitely make sure that we can try to get that updated as soon as possible.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Of course. Looks like we're all good. Well, what a wonderful Friday that this has been. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Like I said, this will be posted on our YouTube hopefully by Wednesday, but otherwise we're gonna let you all go maybe a couple minutes early. So enjoy those extra minutes, do something fun, productive, unproductive, however you may yeah, whatever you want to do with your Friday. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll hopefully see you next month at the Lunch and Learn.